Tonight on News 5 Live, grandsons killing each other, tearing their family and Belize City neighborhood apart. Police begin a crackdown, and Youth Department tries to mediate. These stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Mahogany Heights. Heights. My name is Raquel Vega. I am the community health worker for Mahogany Heights.
Located just off the Western Highway between Belize City and Belmopan is a small village known as Mahogany Heights. As the community health worker in Mahogany Heights, Raquel Vega cares for approximately 1,063 persons. She has lived in Mahogany Heights for 18 years and has been serving as the community health worker for 11 years.
My role basically is to educate our people first of all. And for us is to just offer basic first aid service to our community.
As the country is learning to cope with COVID-19, community-based delivery of essential health services becomes a viable solution to the disruption of health services created by an upsurge in cases and lockdowns and to the shifting of the health workforce.
Whenever they come, I just have to make sure they sanitize, we do social distance and try, to keep it safe.
Through the European Union-funded Health Sector Support Program Belize project, funds were reoriented for improving integrated healthcare at the community level during COVID-19. 230 health workers, including Raquel Vega, received work kits containing non-contact thermometers, stethoscopes, glucometers with strips and lancets, and first aid kits.
As a community health worker, I am now equipped to go out into my community and serve better in my community.
Thank you. Gracias. Sereme. Thank you.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank. Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, March 18th. I am Sabrina Daly. 24-year-old Percival Pilgrim died around 2:30 this morning from injuries he received during a shooting incident on Iguana Street several hours earlier. The incident was a catalyst that sparked a reprisal on Vernon Street on Wednesday night that left 2 persons dead. It's all part of a beef that has been brewing in the Mayflower Street neighborhood since mid-last year. Police believe it all came to a head when Kanye King and Percival Pilgrim were waylaid by their rivals. Isani Caetano begins our coverage of Wednesday's carnage.
A fatal shooting incident on Wednesday afternoon may have been a tipping point in an ongoing feud that has been tearing apart a Belize City neighborhood over the past few months. Shortly after 2 o'clock, a pair of young men came under gunfire as they proceeded on foot along Iguana Street. 24-year-old Percival Pilgrim was in the company of Kanye King, a teenage minor, when they were blindsided by 3 individuals who emerged from a nearby alley. Multiple shots were fired in their direction.
I finished cook. My grandkids, my 2 granddaughters, they stay downstairs for the time being. My grandson, Kanye, come, they eat their food. When Kanye don't eat, they gone through up Mayflower Street for Vernon Street. I don't know where he gone. I got in my bed and I got lay down.
Moments later, Sandra Uter was roused out of a catnap by her granddaughter.
I get up, they say, you hearing that? I said, no. I must be dropping all the doors. I said no, and they run through the back. I still don't go out there. When they can't tell me they shot Pilgrim.
Unbeknownst to the family matriarch, her 16-year-old grandson had been injured in the deadly fusillade. What she also did not know was that another grandson was reportedly the triggerman. Percival Pilgrim was struck multiple times, including a gunshot wound to the head.
I was here trying to prepare a little barbecue for my birthday when I heard the news that PJ just got shot, right? But by the time I reached out there, the police have already took him to the hospital.
Despite being rushed to the KHMH, Pilgrim would not survive the deadly encounter. The incident is the latest attack in an internal row that has divided the Ghost Town community. A bitter rivalry between factions of the namesake gang is pitting Utah's grandchildren against each other with lethal consequences.
Miss Sandra, your family is fractured. It's split based on what seems to be an ongoing gang situation in the Mayflower Street area. As a grandparent, talk to us about what is happening and perhaps what you've tried to do to bring peace amongst your grandkids.
I stay talk to my grandkids. No one ease down, but I have people come and molest me. I have one of my nephew, or one of my grandson end up the shoot. He's in a jail right now for it. Because why? They gone after him, 3 of them gone after him with gun.
It's a vicious cycle, one that has these young men preying on each other as the power struggle between the Bannock Zone gang and Mayflower Street goes unchecked.
This beef between the two sides of Mayflower Street, or Ghost Town as we call it, has been going on for months, and there are prominent names involved in what's going on here. What is your take on it?
Well, look at some of my family members when they feel like they want, at least to me, look like they want to be hero. You know, all this, you understand me? They want, got people like Robot and bringing people from all, we don't know where. The young man come front there, my nephew, me the pass. My grandson stand up front of the shop, Kanye. He tell the young man, he say, this is the one I want you kill, he not Kanye. This is the one I want you kill.
Evelyn Franklin's nephew, described as easygoing and sociable, is said to have been an affiliate of Bannock Zone, much like Kanye King.
Friendly and sociable, he not really hang out, no, as what I know, you know, but he always on the go. Right.
Why would you think then that someone would attack him this kind of way?
Well, I just can't tell.
This morning, shortly before 5 o'clock, a drove of police officers descended on Utah's Mayflower Street address. Her front door was kicked in and the bedrooms were ransacked.
I was in my bed. I had already wakened, but I was in my bed because my grandson have to go to work for 5 o'clock. He get ready to bed, put on his clothes, and by the time he went back to get the belt for put on, we heard those stamping. Well, I get up and I start to rail and I start to cuss. I said, because if you don't knock, I will open the door. But you don't come like so you can't expect no better from me. That's what I tell them.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
The gun violence in Belize City ended with the double murder of a mother of 8 and a youth from her neighborhood. Reports are that both victims were gunned down when a lone gunman opened fire, then simply walked away. It is not yet known what triggered the attack, but the killings have devastated yet another family. News 5's Dwayne Moody went looking for answers.
Around 7:30 p.m., shots rang out inside a residence on Logwood Street in Belize City. As the echoes of the blasts subsided, 2 persons had been killed, including a mother of 8. 49-year-old Cynthia Conarque was at home when a gunman jumped a fence to the rear of the compound and opened fire. 21-year-old Vernon Street resident Alan Garcia, who frequented the residence, was sitting on the steps when he was struck multiple times, including once to the head. Relatives say an injured Conarque collapsed while trying to make her way to a structure to the front of the property.
My mom was the nicest person to her children, family, and even strangers. She was the type of person who would never think twice to share an extra plate of food with anyone in need.
When we visited Garcia's family this morning, they were too distraught to provide an on-camera interview to News 5 about the murder of their loved one. They did say, however, that Allen was not involved in any gang and had no beef with anyone. There is speculation, however, that Garcia very likely knew his killer. The double murder has shocked the entire community because both victims are not being described as being caught up in the criminal justice system. While they granted us interviews without showing their faces, Cynthia Conacher's relatives speak of losing both parents within 18 months.
When her dad passed away 18 months ago from stroke, she was the one who tried to be strong for all of us and tried to wipe the tears instead of wiping her tears. My mom was someone who loved the Lord and also was a joyful person, and she will be missed.
She was a loving person to me as me because she married to my brother. And so many years that I grew up together, partly grew up like sisters. She's not a sister, like a sister to me, because when I have a problem, she would talk and she would joke and say, make me feel better, just to go a party. And she was loving and always and help her if you need and help, she will be there for you.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
About an hour before the double murder of Conarkey and Garcia on Logwood Street, police had responded to another shooting incident in the city, this time on Iguana Street Extension. The victims were rushed to the KHMH and a rapid response by police led to the interception of a vehicle and alleged gunmen. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
It was a typical Wednesday evening and a group of residents from Iguana Street Extension were hanging out across from Kim's Shop 2, a grocery store in the area. But around 7 p.m., surveillance cameras from the area captured when a black Mazda Tribute SUV drove up and persons inside fired shots in the direction of the group of men. It is not known who was the intended target, but 31-year-old Dylan Hines and 54-year-old Toy Madrill were struck.
I was awakened by some neighbors who came to tell me that my good friend and colleague, we work together, we hang together, we associate together. They told me that he was shot. In fact, they told me he was dead. I didn't want to come out to my house. I waited till the morning, and then we investigated, according to the neighbors, and learned that he was probably mistaken, shot.
Hines and Madrill were rushed to the Carl Hirschner Memorial Hospital, where the older victim is in a critical condition.
From my understanding, I hear he was shot in the collarbone, and his whole shoulder bone or collarbone has been shattered, so he might probably be crippled in his hand. And he's also crippled because he has been under a serious accident.
Dion Jenner, who is a good friend of Madrill, spoke on behalf of the family. He believes that both victims were not the intended target of the shooting.
And he's not a troublemaker, he's not a gangbanger. He was just probably at the wrong place at the wrong time. He was with an ex-friend. He was a good friend to us, he's a good youth. He's always with us the same way. He likes to hang out with older people. Yeah. The little youth, I don't know, he has no trouble person. We work together in the neighborhood, we clean yard, we do errands, and he just like to have fun. Yeah. So I probably believe that he was at the wrong place at the wrong time, or maybe the right place at the wrong time.
Well, just next door to where he lives, right?
That's very correct, sir.
No.
I send out my deepest remorse to the family because he comes from a good family.
Shortly after the shooting, the suspect SUV was intercepted by police. 3 persons were inside at the time, a resident of Peter Street, an artist from Mopan Street, and a resident of Fern Lane. A search of the vehicle led to the discovery of 2 9mm firearms. All 3 were detained and the vehicle impounded pending investigation. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Commissioner Chester Williams spoke with the media late this evening and confirmed that the murder of Percival Pilgrim was indeed the result of an internal conflict within the Mayflower Street area. Likewise, the shootings on Iguana Street extensions are also part of an ongoing feud within a particular gang in that neighborhood. The Mayflower-Bannock Street rivalry, he says, is especially challenging for the police department because of the intricacies involved within residents of that community.
I am sure that you all are aware that that area used to be one clique. And we have seen now where there is a split between the group in that area, and now we have 2 cliques, and apparently they are having a feud among themselves. The way how the Bannock area is situated, the demographics of it is one that would make it difficult for police to be able to police that matter, that area. Nonetheless, since yesterday, we have stepped up our patrols in the area. We have been conducting operations, going after those persons who we believe are involved. There are other things that we're doing with a view to see how we can mitigate the situation. And again, a very important part of what we will be doing is to look at the gang legislation and see what charges can be levied against those persons who we know are involved in gang activities within that particular area. And the same can also be said about the Iguana Street area. There is also an internal feud among that group, and there are several underlying issues that is causing the flare-up within that area. But again, we are doing what we can to address it. I want to assure the public that the police department, by way of our Ministry of Home Affairs and New Growth, will be doing whatever needs to be done with a view to ensure that that semblance of normalcy is brought to the residents of the two affected areas at this time.
The double homicide involving Cynthia Conarchy and Alan Garcia may be related to the fatal shooting of Percival Pilgrim that occurred several hours earlier. That's the angle that investigators are probing. While they were processing the scene of that shooting incident, police were able to nab 3 Belize City men whom they believe were involved in the Iguana Street shooting that happened moments earlier. A search of a vehicle they were traveling in yielded a pair of firearms, which may have been used in the commission of that crime.
The Conarchy Garcia murder, from what our investigation is showing, may have some relation to the Pilgrim murder. And so that's the connection we're seeing there. Yesterday evening, sometime after 7 p.m., police received calls of shots fired in the Iguana Street extension area of Belize City. Police responded to the hospital where they met 2 individuals, a male and a female, both suffering from gunshot injury to their body. Police had also responded to the scene where the shooting occurred. And as they were doing so, they intercepted a black SUV type vehicle. That vehicle, based on information we had received, was the said vehicle that was involved in the shooting on Iguana Extension. A search of that vehicle netted 2 9mm pistols, and 3 individuals were inside the vehicle. Those firearms, we believe, were the weapons of choice used in that shooting on Iguana Extension. The 3 individuals are currently in police custody, and they are expected to be charged between today and tomorrow in respect to the firearm offense, as well as gang-related offenses, and later on, as soon as the injured persons are able to give statements, then they'll be charged in respect to the shooting of the 2 individuals on Iguana Street Extension.
Coming up, as the violence rages, the youth department says there has to be a better way. How they hope to calm the city down when we return.
Ubuntu. I am because we are. Strengthening social solidarity and global connectedness. Ubuntu is the theme of World Social Work Month. World Social Work Month recognizes the profession of social work and highlights the important role social workers play in their communities. Social workers are essential and are the unsung heroes. As social workers, we strive to empower those from all walks of life. Our tools are compassion, service, and determination. Our armor is a love for humanity. With persistence in the face of insurmountable odds, we help clients access services and systems to achieve their goals. No matter the circumstances, we jump into the fray Ubuntu. As we celebrate World Social Work Day on March 16th, the Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs and the Government of Belize thank all social workers for their compassion, sacrifice, and dedication to service.
DG y el Banco Nacional de Belice se enorgullecen de asociarse con el gobierno de Belice para facilitar el desembolso de los fondos de la transferencia de efectivo COVID-19 de Belice a través de nuestra plataforma segura y fácil de usar Mobile Pays. Después de obtener la aprobación como beneficiario de los fondos de ayuda, se le informará por SMS cuando su pago mensual haya sido depositado en su cuenta de Mobile Pays, a qué tienda Digi o sucursal de Banco Nacional se le asignó y cuándo puede ir a cobrar. Debe traer consigo el teléfono al que se le envió la notificación para presentar su número de cuenta y para recibir su código de validación y recibo. También debe traer su tarjeta de seguro social válida. Después de que su información sea verificada, recibirá un código de validación que deberá dar al agente. El agente le entregará el monto total de los fondos asignados para ese mes y usted recibirá un recibo vía SMS con un número único de transacción. Digi y el Banco Nacional de Belice están comprometidos con el desarrollo de servicios innovadores en beneficio de todos los beliceños.
The contamination of water we all depend on is a very urgent issue. As Belize's popularity and industries grow, challenges increase. In this episode, we will examine the issue of water pollution in Belize. Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies, usually because of human activities. Water bodies include lagoons, rivers, aquifers, and oceans. On the marine side, the discharge of sewage and bilge water from cruise ships and other live-aboard vessels, in combination with unregulated development of coastal areas, has led to the degradation of marine ecosystems such as mangroves and coral reefs. Our inland waters are facing their own challenges. As agricultural development increases, pesticides, fertilizers, and waste products are running off into rivers. Increased river traffic from boat tours and sugar barges adds to the already stressful conditions of the freshwater ecosystems. In addition, companies that collect sewage sometimes dump the waste right into the waterways. Additionally, in densely populated areas like Belize City and Orange Walk, poor sewage designs result in the contamination of groundwater and of water bodies by both sewage and wash water. In many cases, homes and businesses dump their wastewater directly into drains, which leads to rivers and the sea. Wastewater, detergents, and petroleum collect in drains that empty into waterways, such as the New River and the Belize River. This, along with the runoff and discharges from the agricultural and industrial businesses, have been inadequately monitored and enforced. The answers to overcoming water pollution issues are fourfold: improved infrastructure, adequate treatment, increased legislation and monitoring, and of course, changing our habits for the better. While it is urgent that better management on a policy level is needed, there are a few things we can do at home to help. Ensure proper treatment systems are installed for all wastewater at your home and business. Don't dispose of oil from your automobiles or cooking and household detergents down the drain. And lastly, minimize the usage of chemicals and fertilizers and report any dumping into waterways to the Department of the Environment. The government has recognized the threat of inadequate liquid waste management and is working toward goals of reducing and reversing its effects. For more information on what's being done about water pollution and ways you can help, visit our website at doe.gov.bz. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
A barrage of bullets signaled the break of dawn in Punta Gorda today. The sound of gunshots woke up the sleepy coastal town to the news that a well-known resident had been murdered. He was shot multiple times as he sat in the driver's seat of his vehicle to report for work at the Punta Gorda Town Council. Reporter Andrea Polanco has more in the following story.
This was a scene after 4 o'clock this morning in Punta Gorda. Cell phone footage captured a small crowd of angry family and friends gathered near the Punta Gorda Town Council. The scenes of crime personnel processed the scene of the murder of 36-year-old Dennis Trapp, better known as Dads. He was a driver and mechanic with the sanitation unit of the Town Council. As the officials removed Trapp's body from the vehicle where he was killed to transport it to the hospital, the tragedy of what happened sunk in for the family left behind. The angry words turned to agonizing cries as they began to mourn the life taken. Trapp's sister, Judith Norales, says that he left home around 3:30 this morning, but by after 4, he was a dead man, shot 16 times in his vehicle.
While he dropped asleep in that vehicle, I believe that it was then that gunman that went there and shot him through the glass of his vehicle, shot him, and then when they shot him, they opened back that door and finished him.
Do you know how many gunshots he received?
I hear about 16 gunshots he received.
You said 16?
About 16 gunshots I hear he got.
Wow, that's, you know, someone definitely sending a message, wanted him dead.
Yes.
Norales says she believes the killer or killers were watching her brother. She says earlier that night, a suspicious person went looking for him at another residence. She also suspects that someone tampered with the surveillance camera in the area to cover the deadly incident.
And then I do believe there was an inside job because the security camera was turned. There is a security camera there. So that has to be somebody that knows the movement of my brother, that has links to that gunman, so they could have gone and killed my brother.
While this attempt ended in murder and took away a family's loved one, this is the second attempt on Trapp's life in recent weeks. Norales says someone wanted her brother dead.
This is not the first time they tried to attempt and kill my brother. About 3 weeks ago, I guess, he was home, and same time his daughter was going to see her father, and it's like God sent her there. When she went there, she saw 2 persons outside around the area. They tried to send a hit as, again, somebody from Belize came all the way to PG, telling my brother that a certain person sent a hit for him.
According to the family, while Trapp may not have always walked the straight and narrow way, they have no idea why he was killed.
My brother is a humble young man, hardworking. I'm not going to say he's perfect. Yes, he has done maybe other stuff in the past, but nothing I know about is that he has killed anyone.
Why would you imagine, Miss Judith, that there is a hit out on him?
That's the same thing I want to know, because he never talked his problem to us.
Do you know if there's something from his past that maybe could have triggered this murder?
I don't know, Miss, if something from his past. That's something I'm still here thinking and wondering why. I'm still asking myself why.
Trapp was a father of 3. He was working with the PG Town Council for a little more than 2 years. The family describes him as an easygoing guy who was humble and always happy. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
Late this evening, Police Commissioner Chester Williams briefed the media on the leads they are pursuing about Dennis Trapp's murder in Punta Gorda. According to police, 2 killers approached the unsuspecting victim, killed him, and then sped away on a motorcycle. Compal Williams says they believe that this latest murder is gang-related.
From what we gather is that Trapp, who is the driver of the garbage truck in Punta Gorda, was reporting for duty, and before he could have alighted the vehicle, he was ambushed by 2 male individuals who fired the fatal shots. Police responded and were able to pursue the 2 suspects, but they were able to elude the police on motorcycles and managed to get away. Again, we know that there are 2 factions in Punta Gorda town that are constantly going at each other, and that is one of the motive we're looking at this time. It seems to be gang related, and police will continue to probe to see where we can get with the investigation.
Within the past 24 hours, youth have been both primary victims and the main suspects detained in connection with the spate of violence in Belize City. Since Wednesday, the Behavior Modification and Conflict Management Services, formerly the Conscious Youth Development Program, has been on the ground trying to connect with the actors involved in the gun violence with a goal to mediate and prevent anticipated retaliation. Recently installed Director and Superintendent Dinsdale Thompson says that they condemn the act of violence being perpetrated, but are trying mediation.
We are presently out on the street. We're visiting all the known areas that we do know and that we are walking along with, communicating with them, and we're bringing them to the table as well. We're presently at the cell block with those who are detained for investigation concerning the murders that have happened, and we are looking to get into that and to bring a calm or to bring a peace in that area. What we're doing is to calm the hearts and minds of these young men, reaching out to them, because many times we look at them as a violent individual that cannot be changed. But when you sit with these guys, when you reach out to them, you find out that they are a soul that are in need of help as well.
The Department of Youth Services condemned the act of violence with immediate effect, and that we will be working along with the police department and other counterparts through our institutional linkages to ensure that we give support both from a legislative point of view and a programmatic point of view. When we look at what has been going on recently, we recognize that there's a lot of hurt going on among young persons, and that we need to provide services that could incorporate the type of necessary treatment to deal with the situation currently going on in our country.
The Behavior Modification and Conflict Management Services falls under the scope of the Department of Youth Services, which finds the urban gun violence flare-up concerning. But Deputy Director and Officer in Charge at DYS, Kevin Cadle, says that while they are providing wraparound services for at-risk youth, those who want to live a life of crime will be dealt with by the law.
When it comes to at-risk young persons, it's both legislative and it's both and programmatic. Legislative means that the law comes into play, and we will provide all the support necessary. I spoke to Chester this morning, the Commissioner of Police, to give him the support that he needs, because we do know that some young persons are just not about change. And we're saying, if you don't want to change, then we want the law, the arm of the law, to deal with you with full effect.
After the break, the unions called for a delay in the budget presentation. What the government response is when we come back.
Start your year with a win with Bellikin and its new promotion, Papa Stopper. Yes, sir. Every time you pop one stopper off our Bellikin, make sure you check under the crown. If you see one bottle shape, you win one free Bellikin. If you see one ball, you win $20. If you see one star, you win $100. And once you see one diamond, you win $1,000. Sure, Bellikin again, you know. Papa Stopper. When you pop a stopper off a Bellikin, check to see if you're a winner. You can collect your free beer or $20 cash prize at the store nearest to you. If you win $100 or $1,000, redeem your prize at the nearest B&B sales center.
Promotion is valid until Saturday, March 27th, or while supplies last.
Papa Stopper!
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
Congratulations to our Bellikin Papa Stopper winners today. Continue popping those stoppers off of Bellikin for a chance to win free beer, $20, $100, or $1,000.
Papa Stopper!
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
What a beautiful morning in Popsville. Time to check the crops. Uh-oh, the insects are back. Farmer Ricky plans to double his dosage to get rid of these pests once and for all. Oh no! No more insecticide! Well, off to the store we go. Hey, it's good old Joe.
Good morning, Joe. I'd like to get 4 bottles of Compound V, please. I'm double dosing to fight back the insects. Compound V, you said? It doesn't sound familiar. Let me see what you have.
Ricky, where did you get this product? It doesn't have proper label information and could be filled with highly hazardous chemicals called persistent organic pollutants. You should really get one that's POPs free, which is safer and approved for pest control. Ricky, it's time we talked about the dangers of misusing highly toxic pesticides. Some pesticides contain highly hazardous ingredients that can harm you and your loved ones if handled incorrectly. So when we improperly store pesticides, it can affect our health in the long and short term. To be safe, make sure to remember these following tips to avoid unnecessary chemical exposure. It's important to always read your label fully before using any treatment on your crops. To avoid dangerous contact with pesticides, including airborne insecticides, make sure to wear appropriate personal protective equipment. Apply the recommended chemical dosage and use far away from human contact and from active winds. To avoid cross-contamination, make sure to follow these simple steps to dispose of pesticide containers. And no matter what you do, don't throw it in any old waste bin. Always make sure to triple rinse, puncture, and store separately for proper disposal.
And for an even safer approach to pesticide use, consider switching to organic farming and other integrated pest management processes.
For more information on how to dispose of hazardous pesticides, contact your local waste management agency or visit stopthepops.com for more details. Sometimes danger lurks where you least expect it. The more you know, the healthier you can grow.
News 5 has confirmed with the family of Sir Colville Young that he will be retiring as the Governor General of Belize. According to the family, they were consulted and agreed, along with his doctor, that it is time. A message from the family to News 5 says, quote, "We have been planning for this eventuality for over a year," unquote. Earlier this week, Prime Minister John Bersenio reportedly paid a visit to the Governor General to request that he demits the office of Governor General. We are told that the announcement of his retirement will be made at the next sitting of the House of Representatives during the budget presentation. But who will be his replacement? Reliable sources tell News 5 that the name of a female designate will be submitted to the Queen for approval. Sir Colville Young is 88 years old and has served as Belize's Governor General for 27 years, since he was appointed on November 17, 1993. Auditor General Dorothy Bradley was in the crosshairs of the unions on Wednesday when they took aim at her and several others, including Financial Secretary Joseph Waite and Central Bank Governor Joy Grant. Bradley responded this afternoon by issuing a release correcting what she refers to as baseless assertions from the Public Service Union and the Association of Public Service Senior Managers. The statement goes on to say, quote, "The same Constitution provides mechanisms via which the work of the Auditor General can be reviewed, and if the unions were indeed legitimately aggrieved, they should use the proper process instead of launching baseless attacks to try and tarnish the office," unquote.
And I view it as an attack. But any attack on Dorothy Bradley would be okay. It is something that maybe I would ignore. But when you talk about the Office of the Auditor General, then it is a direct assault and one that must be addressed. So yesterday, yes, I was kind of really shocked when I heard that part because it was clipped and sent to me. And when I reviewed what was said, I realized that from the onset, this had to be from an ongoing, an old issue that we've had in the office over a period of time. It isn't the first time, as I've said in the release, that they've made this attack. And they have also really demanded that I be fired. The Constitution makes provisions for that, as I've stated. So for me, that is not a concern. If you question the work I do, then you have to justify exactly and explain what is it you want to know. And then come to me and then let us discuss. It never happened. As a matter of fact, as late as last week, Wednesday, I was in a meeting with the AP SSM, and we never, at least the president never made any revelations as to this kind of attack against any public officer for that matter. So where it is coming from, clearly there has been an old issue, one that I guess has not been addressed to their satisfaction, and it would appear that their satisfaction would mean that my not being in that office. But that is not their call.
Why is the call for your being fired baseless in regards to your contract, as they're saying?
It has to be baseless for obvious reasons. I am not on a contract, I'm a public officer. Secondly, the Constitution makes provisions and protects me in that office from people of this very nature. Just imagine doing audits and functioning in that office, and because you're not popular, which at this point I would like to say to you that I never ran for a popularity contest. I know exactly what it is I undertook, and I fully intend to continue and to do what I have to do.
The reading of the national budget was scheduled for next Friday, March 26th. But today, word was circulating that it has been pushed back due to a request by the Public Service Union and other unions. Today it was confirmed that the budget reading will be postponed by at least 2 weeks to allow for a review of the union proposals for cost-cutting measures and other concerns. The date for the reading has yet to be announced. Belizean drivers are about to get shocked at the pump again. Regular fuel will be increased by a whopping 86 cents on Friday. Drivers will now have to pay almost $11 a gallon, $10.92 to be exact. Just days ago, diesel drivers had to take the lick when diesel increased by almost a full dollar as well, spread over 2 different price hikes. For premium users were also not spared, as that gas went up by 51 cents on February 24th. For comparison's sake, while Belizeans will be paying close to $11 a gallon for our regular fuel, the same product is $3 cheaper in Mexico at around 8 Belize dollars a gallon on average. It is $4 less at an average price of $7 Belize a gallon in Guatemala. When we come back, 300 Belizean car dealers demand the Ministry of Health stop the purchase of vehicles from Guatemala. Details when we return.
One group, the UDP, wrote the long book on Belize's current economic disaster. One man wrote the final chapter, Dean Barrow. As we approach the 2021 budget, let us remember why Belize is messed up and broke, with 120,000 people looking for work. This new government will fix the Barrow UDP mess. Together, we will bounce back better.
Hello, Belize. You may not be aware of the new travel requirements set in place by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Passengers traveling to the U.S. must present a negative COVID test or documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to travel to the U.S. In light of this, Maya, in partnership with Caring Hands Clinic, have established testing centers in all their municipal airports. Caring Hands Antigen Test Center is operational in San Pedro, Belize City, Dangriga, Placencia, and Hopkins. These testing facilities are staffed by licensed healthcare professionals, including doctors, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners. Testing is done using Abbott rapid test devices that are FDA approved and made in the USA. The service is safe, fast, affordable, and the close proximity of the centers makes them convenient. Walk-ins are welcomed, but appointments are encouraged. If you would like to make an appointment, please feel free to do so at Make your appointment, get tested, and in 15 minutes, you can get back to your vacation.
Hello? Okay, sure, I'll be there. Hello?
Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again. With Smart's twice as nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off. Top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
Preparing for the club, y'all gonna get it up. Lighthouse. Shine on. Yeah, the night is going fine. All the ladies on the dime. Lighthouse. Shine on. Let's chance and raise it up. No, we cannot get enough. Lighthouse. Shine on. Shine on with Lighthouse Lager.
The Belize New Car Dealers Association has harsh words this evening for the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The association is demanding the order for new vehicles made by the ministry through Belize AutoZone be cancelled immediately and an investigation be launched into what they are terming irregularities surrounding it. The BNCDA put out a release today asking why the Ministry of Health and Wellness vehicle tender did not follow proper tender protocols and why the Ministry of Finance was not included in the tender approval process. They raised the issue of a tender approval on March 4th being reissued to an associate of the minister on March 11th at what they term a greatly inflated price and question the minister's relationship with the owner of AutoZone. In addition, the car dealers demand to know why the MOHW decided to buy vehicles from a Guatemalan dealer instead of supporting local Belizean dealers who currently have vehicles in stock in Belize. Finally, they are asking where the foreign exchange for the purchase came from, since the central bank is currently not approving forex permits for vehicle imports. The Car Dealers Association says their membership includes Belizean companies that are registered as manufacturer-authorized dealers of the major automotive brands represented in Belize. Collectively, they employ over 300 Belizeans, many of whom are currently experiencing the hardships of salary cuts as a result of the COVID pandemic and ensuing economic stagnation. Efforts to improve sheep husbandry continue. This week, the Central Farm Livestock Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with the Taiwan Technical Mission, hosted a workshop for farmers from the Cayo district involved in sheep production. The training focused on general sheep breeding management, herd health and nutrition, including pasture management. Facilitators, including sheep project technicians and livestock officers from the Ministry and the Belize Agriculture Health Authority. The workshop was part of the Genetic Improvement in Sheep and Goat project, which is designed to produce breeding livestock to supply farmers with Dorper, Katahdin, and Barbados black belly breeds at affordable prices. This year, the ministry plans to construct a new barn and acquire additional breeding stock of milk and meat goats from the United States. A man who was hauled before the magistrate's court earlier this week on charges of common assault and harm was today sentenced to 9 months in prison after he pleaded guilty. Keyshawn Dennison was sentenced to 6 months in the first instance for causing harm to Erica Sutherland and to another 3 months to be served consecutively for common assault. Dennison committed the offenses 2 days apart, harming Sutherland on March 10th and then assaulting her on March 12th. Calling all young women interested in mathematics, the Belize Met Office just may have a career you can count on. Meet the meteorologists after the break.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
Hola, Tony.
Hey, Kevin, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué pasa?
Nada, le vine a buscar porque necesito comprar más mercancías de vasos y platos desechables para mi tienda de comestible. Me estoy quedando sin esas cosas.
No, hombre, fíjate que desde el 15 de abril no puedo importar nada de eso. Y se me acaba de terminar todo lo que tenía hace como 3 semanas.
Oye, pero nunca has estado sin esas cosas. ¿Qué está pasando?
Mira esto. Esta es la nueva ley que prohíbe todo el uso de plásticos no reutilizables. Esos son vasos, platos, cucharas, tenedores, todo eso. Desde 15 de abril de este año no he podido importar nada de eso. A partir del 15 de enero del 2021 nadie puede fabricarlo. 15 de abril 2021 nadie lo puede vender. Y a partir del 14 de julio del 2021 si alguien te agarra con eso, te multan.
Híjole, no sabía eso. Necesito cambiar algunas cosas. Les diré a mis clientes por qué esas cosas ya no están disponibles. Gracias, Antonio.
Así es, cuídate.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Our profiles on Belizean women in various professions continue tonight with another woman in the sciences. This time she is a meteorologist and a veteran of the Met Service. Although she stumbled into this as a career, Michelle Augustin urges young women interested in math and physics to consider joining her and the other woman in charge of monitoring Belize's weather on both sunny and rainy days.
The satellite picture shows mainly fair and dry weather over the country at the moment. However, that is expected to change later today and tomorrow because we have a cold front
Michelle Augustin is the Deputy Chief Meteorologist and the head of the forecasting team with the National Meteorological Service. She's been working there for more than 20 years.
It gives me great pleasure to be able to inform people about what to expect where the weather is concerned. Because as we all know, the weather is really important for day-to-day activities. So it's really an inspiring job to be able to provide that information to people.
What's it like to work as a meteorologist? What's a typical day like?
Well, a typical day at the Met Service, even when the weather is good, right, there's always work to do. For instance, we have to constantly monitor the weather. So even though it might look like a slow day when it's a bright sunny day, it's actually a day that we still need to perform our duties. We still need to forecast that good weather and as well observe the good weather.
Talk to me what that is like working during the hurricane season.
Yes, right. That is a challenging time, I must admit. But it's also an exciting time because you get to know firsthand what will happen. And I found that it's always a great experience to be able to inform people, to have them to be prepared, to get ready early in the advent of the passage of a storm system. So that for me is a fulfilling part of my career, to be able to inform the general public.
Augustin started working at the National Met Service in the late 90s. At the time, there were just a few women working there. A lot has changed since then, and she says it's all for the better.
It was a male-dominated setting. I can recall it was only about 4 females. There were only about 4 females when I joined the service in 1997. And I'm happy to report that now that has almost tripled. Right? And to add to that, we actually have a full female forecasting team at the moment. Right? We don't have any permanent male forecasters. So that's certainly, an enlightening experience for me to experience that in my tenure here. The meteorology career or the service is a shift system. So you have to work weekends, you have to work holidays, you have to work nights. And then as a woman with a family with children, at the time I had small children, right, it was definitely challenging to balance both my work and my home life. Right? So definitely challenging years, but here I am 23 plus years later.
And now she hopes that other women in Belize will take up the call to pursue careers in this field. She says the National Met Service is ripe with opportunities for work, and it's an environment that champions staff development.
The Met Service definitely offers a lot of opportunity to study abroad, because most of the courses that we need to do to advance in the service is only offered outside of Belize. STEM is very important in meteorology, and so I would like to encourage anyone who is interested in maths and physics specifically, right? That's definitely an asset to have. We're still a small staff, and we have so much to do, so much that we would like to do in the future, but because of staffing limitations, we are not able to fulfill some of those, right? But there is an opportunity for women to join the Met Service and to advance.
And the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Reduction wants to see more women like Augustin advance in this field. So, for the ministry, Augustin's story is one of service that needs to be shared.
We might hear them on the radio giving the weather report, but we don't know all that is involved and the sacrifices that these people have done. So we believe that it is time to do that recognition. But we certainly congratulate Mrs. Michelle Augustin, the Deputy Chief Meteorologist.
Augustin didn't have a dream to become a meteorologist, but today she believes that it's not an accident that she ended up in this job.
In starting the service, I didn't have an ambition to say get to this position, right? But with time, I realized that Met grows on you. It's definitely a profession that you learn to love, right? Serving people, you definitely learn to love it. And yes, I was very surprised to be able to reach this position.
Is there anything you would change, or do you feel that you found your purpose in life?
I definitely feel that I found my purpose in life, most definitely. I have no regrets about my time here, none whatsoever. This job is fulfilling, exciting.
Reporting for News 5, I am Andrea Polanco.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.